Right then, people, we're back inside the building. Welcome back to Trickstar Radio. This is Breakfast with Kovu. It's Monday morning, and we are about to jump into interview hour. I'm really looking forward to this one. It's the first time we've had a guest in the building in a hot minute. I've been getting very lonely down here in this this little pit we call Trickstar Radio, which is it's always enjoyable. But it's nice to have a bit of company in the building. Man like Eone is inside. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. It's good to have you in. Obviously, it's been a hot minute. I came up to Crawley quite recently, to do one of the talks that we kind of get in every now and then. How's it been since you were last on the station? It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it's been really good. We're in that final week now before the break up for half term, so just trying to get the first bits of projects finished from all the students. So yeah, a lot of pressure, a lot of work, but
nice,
it's going good.
How does that kind of compare? Obviously, doing things from like a teaching perspective. Like, I'm assuming you've had to chase up like stems and stuff from other artists before. How does that compare?
Yeah, it's very different with other artists. It's weird. There's less pressure because for me it's more like an enjoyable thing. But with the college work, like it's their education, it's their livelihood, it's their future. So I'm trying to make sure that we can get the best. I mean, obviously I want to get the best out of people that I've worked with and the students, but yeah, it feels more pressured.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. I mean, to me, I hear that and it means you're doing it right. Like I feel there's a lot of people out there that, especially kind of music wise, I definitely remember in school, kind of going back and in college as well, being almost a little bit like numbed by the fact that the teachers didn't really seem to care about what was going on. And obviously, with yourself, I really do get the impression that you're trying to get the most for the students in the classes you teach.
I mean, I was very much the same as well when I was at school. My music teacher, unfortunately, didn't really kind of get me and the musical world that I was involved in or that I cared about, and I thought, I can learn more about music from my own mother at home than I can in this classroom, and so as kids do, they kind of mess about a little bit, unfortunately.
No, definitely, bro. I mean, for a lot of people as well, that music class and you look at your schedule, you kind of go, what period do I have a day? What period do I have off? Like this week, and you go, I've got music, then PE, then IT, and going, okay, cool. Wednesdays are a breeze. I always remember thinking that, but like, kind of with that, then, like, what have you over the years kind of applied to your lessons to kind of make sure people are remaining interested in it more than anything else?
I mean, the main thing is keeping it relevant. The guest speakers that we've been having this year, before we was only having kind of one a month, and I was following standard protocols of other places that I've taught in or that I've learnt in. And I've realised it's just not enough. One a week minimum really needs to be what's happening. And straight away this term already, I've had several students saying to me, I feel like I'm learning so much more about the industry already because just one a month isn't enough. I mean, if you go and play football once a month, then your legs are going to be out of it.
Yeah, no, entirely. It's a good reference. It's a good analogy, actually, I feel, definitely, in that kind of way. And I think with learning especially, there is an element of having to, like, stay moderately active with it. Like, you can do, like, a monthly kind of course or whatever, but it's not going to give you the same as if you're kind of taking in a little bit every day, a little bit new every day, which I definitely agree with. So, kind of with that then, obviously, we've been in an unusual period for education, to say the least, this year. It's been an unusual time for everything, music industry wise, and especially kind of education is one of the big things that has been a big sort of heave-ho the entire way through. Like, how have you found it from a teaching perspective, especially in music technology as a kind of area? Yeah,
well, I mean, kind of getting back into the swing of things was really difficult for both myself and the students, because it's like, March when we went into lockdown? So usually it would just be kind of from like end of June, so it'd be like July, August, then back in September kind of time. So there's only like a couple few months that the students are actually not in an educational setting, but this time it was just an added 3 months, just like almost half a year that they were out of the game, and I was out of practice as well. So that getting back into the swing of things was quite difficult. We had like a 2-week induction instead of a 1-week induction just to ease everyone back in. But they were hungry to learn, to be honest. And once we got back in the classroom, like, learning was going down.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, if they're coming back and being hungry to learn, it says you're doing something right.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, there's something I always want to ask. Obviously, I try to get a lot of different people from different backgrounds, and obviously with yourself working in music education, it's obviously quite interesting to find out what's going on that sort of like on the ground, if you know what I mean, on the ground level. One thing I do want to ask before we move on, because I know we want to talk about this mixtape, which is very, very exciting, and there's loads of interesting things I found out this morning about this mixtape before we've gone live. But one thing I want to ask is, obviously, as a producer as well, like not just being a teacher, you work in music from both a teaching perspective and as an artist as well. How often do you find out new bits of information or find out new sort of production techniques or little things like that, and then find yourself working it into your sort of teaching?
New production bits or techniques from the students, or just in general?
Just in general. So you've picked something up from a YouTube tutorial.
Pretty much every day. I mean, for starters, we open up the lessons with like a quiz, and we close it with like a quiz or something or a word cloud or something, just to kind of kickstart the learning. So I go out my way to try and find new bits of information that quite often I'll learn about stuff, and learning off the students as well happens. That should be happening on a daily basis. If you're not learning off your students, then you're not doing something right. And if you're not bringing new information, if you're not updating your information, whether it's how to teach or just the actual
what you're teaching,
yeah. I mean,
essentially,
I just got a fantastic new book called How Do I Make the Bee Stop Shouting? I think that's a rough book, and it's pedagogical book. Oh, I've got to say that word right first time. And
fair play. Yeah. You know what? Just for that, you're getting one of
those. And it's literally how to make them stop shouting, how to get them to listen. It's like behavioural management, and it's one of the most difficult things, and it's something that I don't feel is really supported as much. I mean, obviously I get supported by my teachers. I'm really lucky in where I am, but I think kind of government-wise of what they're pushing, this kind of information isn't as standard on my PGC course, my teacher training course I did anyway, that I don't feel like that information was out there.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting, because I've always thought like the scariest thing about being being a teacher is you have to make. I heard this quote somewhere once, and the most difficult thing about being a teacher is making people who aren't interested in your subject interested in your subject. You literally have to completely change people's opinions based on 1-2 hours a week. Like it's crazy actually when you sit down and think about like how difficult a task that would be outside of a classroom, and then you times that by 30 people all at once or whatever. do you ever get nervous like in those teaching scenarios?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, half the time though you're just running continuously, and your mind is just going so quick, and you don't have time to stop and think about these things. You get into the classroom, you have to get everyone in. At the moment, we've got issues with logins, so we're having to try and get all the students logged in. Then you have to get them to do the warm-up game. Then you have to give them the learning outcomes, what they're going to be doing for the day, but make them seem interesting, that they're not actually learning, that they're just learning. We're giving them cool information. That's the thing. If you can make people learning without realise they're actually learning, that's one of the most important and one of the most difficult things.
Definitely. No, I remember, mate. Like from school, I always remember the classes I enjoyed the most were the ones I enjoyed. You know, if that makes sense. I mean, obviously, but if that makes sense, like the ones I feel I got the most out of were the ones I felt I was enjoying. A good example of this, like a science for me. Like I had no interest in science before I went to school, and it ended up being like the best thing I did best in.
You can trick them into thinking
and that's all off the back of a teacher. Like there was a teacher there who kind of changed my mindset on it, which was it's crazy when you think about it, man. So what we're going to do, thanks for bringing all that information forward, I've got to say. It's always interesting to hear what's happening. You know, I like to keep people as informed as possible on this show. But what we're going to kind of do next is, obviously, we have got some mixtape news, which is very, very exciting. So talk me through what the plan is with this then.
So yeah, last year, I think it was roughly around about a year ago that we did our first interview, and there was one of the tracks that was played that was included in my mixtape, and now a year has passed. Pretty much all those tracks have been released, or they're coming up for releases very shortly. So I was like, I'll make a new production mixtape, which is actually planned to drop at 10 a.m. It's scheduled on SoundCloud as well. So as soon as this interview's kind of all finished for today at 10 a.m, that's when this new production mixtape drops.
Amazing. So are there bits here that this is the first time this has been announced then?
Yes. So Muscovian's Rhythm is, well, the information about the kind of tracks and what it is. The Muscovian's Rhythm is the opener, and then I think we've got the closure as well being played on there. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Amazing, man, amazing. I mean, thank you for bringing this information forward. I love getting these sort of exclusives on the show, and it's awesome to see. So what we're going to do, before we kind of break things up a little bit more, we are going to get into a that outro track that was on the listing for the day. So this one is, I believe, yourself and Folo with 6 Foot Wings. I believe that's what it's called.
Yes. Yeah.
So talk to me about this tune. How did it come together?
Oh no, that one's not on the production mixtape, but this is a first hearing of this track.
Oh wow, we're going world exclusive. Love that.
We've not played it. I've not even played this myself on radio or anything. I'm pretty sure Folo hasn't played it as well. And yeah, this is from our collaborative EP that we've got together, and it's very different from the usual kind of wave sound. It's completely beatless as well, which is always fun to
Amazing.
do for me.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting into this one. This one's a world exclusive, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what we love to see.
World exclusive for Breakfast with Colvin. With CubCamTV.
Trickstar Radio.